Hello internet, welcome to Not Game Theory. Today, we're paying tribute to MatPat by looking at one of the most popular games from last year, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And today, we're gonna solve the question, who should Link marry according to science? If you're not familiar, Tears of the Kingdom is a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild, which is the most recent and best entry in the Legend of Zelda franchise, one of Nintendo's biggest IPs. And if you don't know who Nintendo is, well, I don't know why you clicked this video. Anyways, even though romance isn't directly a part of the game since it's made for kids, it's still a part of the story. So, let's introduce our contestants. First up, we have the main character of the game. He's 125 years old, he's silent, and he's saved Hyrule twice by now. It's our lucky bachelor, Link. Our main character has a couple love interests throughout the story, and today, he will be choosing one of these lucky girls. First up, Princess of the Kingdom, his literal girlfriend, and protected him for 100 years by becoming a ghost, and then in the sequel, protected him again by going a million years into the past and becoming an immortal dragon, watching over Link to protect him again. It's Zelda. Next up, she's the princess of the mermaid people. She's loved Link since they were kids, and she's also a fish. And she's dead. She's a dead fish. But she's a really good person and everyone loves her, so we're gonna add her anyways. It's Mipha! Next up, she's madly in love with Link, extremely shy, and the only contestant under 100 years of age. It's Paya. And we have Purah. She might look like she's 20 years old, but she's actually like 120 because she used science to make herself look young. Now that we have our contestants, let's determine who Link should marry according to science. So, disclaimer, obviously this is controversial, trying to determine who you should marry according to science. And I just want to say, marry whoever you want, but we're going to treat this like a scientific problem. So what's our criteria for choosing who Link should marry? Well, we have a couple criteria. First off is overall happiness, how happy he'll be being married to them. Second off is lowering the chances of divorce. Obviously, if you divorce someone, it's kind of like you failed in a relationship, so we want to eliminate that as much as possible. So let's tackle the second criteria first. What will absolutely lower the chances of divorce? So according to science, there's actually a lot of different factors you can look at before you get married that will predict the likelihood of you getting divorced or not. And here's the whole list, screenshot if you want. But going down this list, we have a couple of heavy hitters. Also, before we jump into the statistics of it, I just want to point out, the likelihood of you getting divorced is shockingly very high, especially in the United States. It varies from region to region, but in the United States, the likelihood of your marriage ending in divorce is around 50%. But just know that statistics and probability doesn't mean something's gonna happen. But with that being said, there are several factors you can control that will lower your likelihood of getting a divorce throughout your lifetime. And even just watching this video will give you an advantage in lowering the likelihood of you getting divorced. And statistics and probability can only take you so far. If you're currently in a relationship, you know the situation better than anyone else. So trust yourself and don't trust these words. But with all that being said, let's jump right into the video. So, first things first, should Link even get married? And according to science, the answer is absolutely yes. Men on average live an extra 12 years, and for women an extra 7 years whenever they're married. You're much more likely to be happy and live longer if you throw yourself into marriage. And not only will you live longer, you'll also be healthier as well. You see, according to the longest concurrently running study of modern times, close relationships more than money or fame are what keep people happy throughout their lives. Now that we know that Link should get married, let's look at who he should marry. And for this, we're looking at two factors. One, what makes a happy marriage? And two, what prevents a marriage from getting a divorce? So going down our list of common causes of divorce, the first factor that Link can control is what country his partner comes from. Because believe it or not, whatever culture your spouse comes from can greatly increase or decrease the likelihood of you getting divorced. Some of the countries with the highest divorce rates are China, the United States, and Russia. And some of the cultures with the lowest divorce rate are India, Vietnam, and Colombia. Looking how this is a fictional universe and these girls don't really come from any of those countries, we'll have to find out where they're inspired from. So first off, Zelda. Zelda is most likely inspired by the UK, given her royal heritage and her British voice actress. Purah, however, is most likely inspired by America, given that her voice actor has an American accent and she seems to fit the steampunk aesthetic which is associated with 1800s America. Meanwhile, Paya is most likely inspired by ancient Japan, and Mipha is the fish. So looking at every country's divorce to marriage ratio will give us the odds that our marriage will end in divorce per country. First off, United States. They are in first place with 50% of all marriages ending in divorce. Next up is the United Kingdom, with 42% of all their marriages ending in divorce. And with the lowest divorce rate is Japan, with 35% of all their marriages ending in divorce. But Japan's statistic comes with a big asterisk. There's a common rumor that cheating in Japan is more common, with many people even considering paying someone to hold your hand outside of marriage as not cheating. This is crazy, bro. Pray for Japan. However, as you can imagine, finding reliable data on, hey, have you ever cheated on your spouse in any country is going to be a big challenge. So, Paya walks away with the first point. Now, let's look at another important factor, religion. The more religious a person is, aka the stronger their faith in the Lord is, the less likely they are to get divorced. Now, obviously, scientists don't have a good way to measure how much faith someone has. However, scientists have found that attending church weekly has reduced a couple's risk of getting divorced by 47%, which is insane and one of the best things you could possibly do for your marriage. Also, for the boys, girls are way more likely to attend church than dudes are, so if you're trying to find like a wife, bro, you know where to go. Obviously, they didn't put Christianity into this game, however, this fictional world does have a fictional religion, where they worship fictional false idols. We'll pretend that this is a metaphor for Christianity and assume the more religious they are in this world, the more religious they would be in our world. Now, surprisingly, almost every girl is shown to be highly religious. Zelda is seen praying several times, Mipha is quoted as praying for Link, and Paya is seen praying and literally dedicated her entire life to her culture's religion. Even Purah is the sister of the priestess and was shown to study ancient prophecies and even took Link to a shrine. So, they all get a point on this one. Next up is their attitude towards, hugging. Especially hugging before marriage. If someone comes from a society or personally has a more strict and conservative view of hugging, then they're more likely to stay loyal. However, if Link's partner has more of a loose view of it, they're more likely to cheat. This leads to higher rates of divorce, obviously, and has major implications because girls who have hugged 6 or more people before marriage have been shown to be 3 times less likely to be in a stable relationship in their 30s. And if Link's future partner has hugged a man before the age of 18, it doubles her risk of divorce. For the ladies watching this, the stats weren't quite as high for men, but they still increased. And looking how this is a kid's game, all of them get a pass. However, we're gonna give the points to Mipha and Paya, because Link was Mipha's first crush, and Link was also Paya's first love. Next up is age difference. If a man is 9 or more years older than a girl, the risk of divorce increases. However, if he's 2 or more years younger, he also increases the chance of divorce. There's an 11-year window that has the highest chance of success for marriage. However, applying it to this game is a bit hard because Link is 123 to 127 years old in this game. We'll say he's 125. However, he was asleep for 100 years of that, so in a way, he's 25 years old. And looking at the girls makes it even more complicated because Zelda, when she was 17, became a ghost, and that lasted 100 years, making her 117 years old. And then, in the sequel, she goes back in the past, becomes an immortal dragon, and watches over Link and Hyrule for thousands of years, before she turns back into a human, making her 10,117 years old at this point. Which, big points for loyalty, I won't lie. And to make things even more complicated, Mipha, the fish girl, may look the same age as Link here, but she's actually 50 years old because they age differently than humans do. She also gets taken out and becomes a ghost for like 100 years. And Purah is the only person who's actually been able to live out all 124 years without becoming a magical cow or something, because she's a genius scientist who used her genius science inventions to turn herself from a 124-year-old woman into a 24-year-old woman. And Paya? Well, she's a normal girl. She's like 18 to 25. Nothing to say there. However, since Link was in a coma for 100 years, we're gonna give this point to Paya. However, an honorable mention goes to Zelda for watching over Link for thousands of years. Next up is education and income. The more educated and a higher income you make, the lower your chances of divorce are. Specifically, if you completed a college degree, your chances go down. And if you make over $50,000 or $75,000 a year, your chances also go down. Seeing how 2 are princesses, one's a priestess, and the other's a genius scientific inventor, they all get a pass. Next up is neuroticism. Neuroticism means when people have higher feelings of doubt, anxiety, and insecurity and depression. This also increases the likelihood of them being unloyal and leading to a divorce. This is why people suffering from mental illnesses, especially bipolar disorder and major depression, have higher chances of divorce, with as many as 9 in 10 marriages involving someone with bipolar disorder ending in divorce. Not to say that if your partner's had a hard day at work, it makes them more likely to cheat, but if they have a pattern of consistently being scared, extremely self-conscious, and emotionally unstable, then they are more likely to cheat according to statistics. So, looking at our contestants, Zelda is consistently seen crying and breaking down. Paya is extremely self-conscious of a birthmark and is too nervous to even talk to Link. It comes down between Mipha and Purah. But seeing how even in the worst situations Purah's always seen as being optimistic and happy, Purah gets the point here. So if we add up all our scores, boom, Paya is the winner. But this doesn't say the whole story. What if I told you the creators of this game already decided who Link is going to marry? You see, in the game, if we go to Link's old house from the previous game, we find that Zelda and Link had already lived together. And it's a kids game, so they don't come out and say it, but it's heavily implied that they're already a couple. But what if I told you that this doomed their relationship? Don't believe me? I'll get into the facts of it. There's a study done that looked at couples who lived together, aka cohabitated, before marriage and those who waited till after marriage to live together. And they found that 34% of those who lived together prior to marriage divorced versus 23% of the ones who didn't. That's over a 50% increase in the chance of getting divorced. Again, it could be a cause or it could be just correlation, because those who refuse to live together prior to marriage usually have higher rates of religiosity, which lowers their chance of divorce. But the facts remain. They live together and increase the chance of divorce by a lot. So even though the game designers want you to think that Zelda's the winner, the actual choice is Paya. But wait, I have another twist that I didn't tell any of you guys about. I didn't even mention this girl in the entire video, but she's the actual answer for who Link should marry. One of the professions with the lowest risk of divorce is farmers at 4%. So, Cheese Girl's really the best answer for Link. But hey, that's just a theory, a game theory. Thanks for watching. Miss you, MatPat. So, if you like this video, feel free to subscribe, because I promise you, every video I put in your feed will be worth your time. You could always check out this video where I got TikTok famous in 24 hours. Or how about this one where I ran a marathon backwards? Choice is up to you. Love you guys, bye.